I'm gonna shake it up tonight. So let's put your hands together for Alex Novak.
I think I'm getting a divorce. What tipped me off was that I'm living in an apartment on my own, and my wife and kids don't live there. That was probably the biggest clue.
Is this thing on? You co-wrote it, you produced it, you're starring in it, and then at the end, it's based on a true story. Tell me how this kind of all came about, Will.
Yeah, well, it's inspired by a true story. This comic that I met, John Bishop, years ago, and we just happened to have lunch, and he told me the story of how he became a stand-up. He's a very popular and well-respected, hilarious stand-up in the UK, and met through some friends in Amsterdam, of all places, on a canal boat having lunch. And he says, yeah, I started doing stand-up. I was breaking up. My wife and I were separating, and I stumbled into a bar, and I didn't want to pay the cover because they were having open mic, so I put my name down. They called me up. And he'd been in this place, he didn't know how to talk about what was going on in his life, and he just started talking about it on stage. And that really got me, this idea that this guy goes and he can express himself for the first time while he's on stage. And I just love that idea, that he could start to find relief doing this thing. That part is true. The part that his wife comes and sees him while he's doing it and he hasn't told anybody, and she sees him on stage kind of speaking his truth, and she can see the transformation in him. That responded to that as well. And I just thought it was a really good way, and Bradley and Mark and I thought it was a really good way to tell a story about a marriage and about this transformation of this middle-aged guy.
Are you gonna be okay?
I'm gonna be okay. I'll be okay.
So you have to do stand-up as Alex Novak. So are you trying this routine? Are you trying out stuff in clubs to?
Yeah.
Because you can't be too good, right?
Yeah, I keep saying it was a very narrow target. We had to, the first time Alex goes up. So I'd go to the Comedy Cellar in New York every night for about 6 weeks as we were in prep, go up a few times a night and work on the first set, the first time Alex goes out, and have them introduce me as Alex Novak, and I'd come out and work on that first moment where he doesn't know what he's doing and he's kind of a little bit deer in the headlights, and then go back and work on that. And then maybe the next night we might work on the third. We had all these different sets that we were working on, and really try to track where Alex is in his progression as a person and as a stand-up. Not be too good. He's not the Michael Jordan of comedy. He doesn't have a great joke, right? You know what I mean? Like he can't come out and be Richard Pryor, who is kind of our North Star, because he's a guy who spoke his truth on stage. So we had to find that balance.
Well, obviously, we know you're a huge Toronto sports guy. You narrated Game 3 for the Toronto Blue Jays versus the Dodgers.
Yeah.
You were also involved in the Toronto Maple Leafs All or Nothing Amazon documentary.
Yeah.
What's the greatest part about being we've got a lot of heartbreak over here.
Yeah.
What's the greatest part about being a Toronto sports fan?
I think that being a Toronto sports fan teaches you to be resilient. You've got to have a certain amount of optimism, unwarranted optimism. The Jays came so close. The stars misaligned for the Jays on that Game 7. It could have gone either way, and certainly did. And it's just the way that it goes. But I think that to be able to, and as a lifelong Leafs fan, and I hear people saying lifelong suffering, it's tough, but those are the joys of life, to have those moments, and they will break through. And it'll be all the sweeter when they do. But it teaches you to, no matter what, you got to get up the next day and keep going. And there's something very Canadian about that I like, which is, yeah, that sucked. Dust yourself off. Here we go.
I saw the Leafs shared a photo of you on Instagram decked out in your Leafs jacket, hat. Is there an ultimate Maple Leafs player for you?
Yeah, Wendel Clark. That's pretty easy. I got to spend a little bit of time with him at the game the other night, and that was amazing. And it was super great.
I get to sometimes speak to Toronto Maple Leafs, Blue Jays players.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan, so
Yeah.
that I'm geeking out when I'm talking to them. So what's your first meeting with someone like that? How does that go?
Well, the first time I met Wendell was in an elevator at Scotiabank Arena during the All-Star game a couple years ago. And he got in and then like turned around and he was right in front of me. And my dad's like, "Oh my God, that's Wendell." And I'm like, "I know." And then he turned around and said hi. And then and he's just such a cool dude. And I ended up texting him like 6 months ago for something. I got his number through a mutual friend. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm texting with Wendell Clark. By the way, the most embarrassing thing is my avatar when I WhatsApped him is a picture of him. And I realized after I sent him the photo, like when I texted him this thing, that he's going to see my avatar. I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Like the one guy I don't want to be embarrassed in front of. I was super embarrassed.
The real relationship is finding somebody you can also be unhappy with. Somebody who has your back. We stopped having each other's backs.
So what, you tell jokes?
Well, I mean, I try. It's more like kind of funny stories from my life. And
Oh, honey, I had no idea your life was this bad.
What's funny about your life?
This is why she threw you out.